What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another deck profile here on TCG University for the card game UniVersus. My name is Tam, and today I'm going to be showing you Jeff's Sea Viper deck that he played for this week's Back to Standard Campus Championship. This deck is way better than I thought it would be, honestly. It constantly says that my opponent does not have a staging area that is useful. Every attack getting stun 2 is pretty good, as long as later on in the chains you can take and push that damage through once they don't have a useful staging area. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump into the profile. Alright, so if you haven't seen one of my deck profiles before, basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be telling you more about how the deck wants to work, how it wants to operate, as opposed to just reading off the cards verbatim. So what does Viper want to do? Well, all of her attacks that we're playing are charges, and so she gives every single one of her charges she gives every one of her charges stun 2, so we're committing 2 of my opponent's resources, as well as, whenever it matters, you enhance once per turn, and say that one of these attacks is going to get absolutely massive, upwards to I saw one attack to get plus 12 damage, because my opponent had 12 cards in the staging area, and obviously Viper just committed all of them out, right? Not to mention that, but she's also, incredibly consistent with, having a, 6.5 size hand size, by just looking at the top card of my deck, because she's a spy, seeing that extra knowledge and choosing whether she wants to add that card to her hand or just discard a different card. And so, with that said, we'll go ahead and explain the rest of the deck as we jump into the profile. The main kill card of our deck, the main win condition we have, is just 4 burst time. This is her ultra rare. It comes in the DLC pack with her. This thing having multiple 3, fueling its own multiple, getting stun 1 off itself, stun 2 off of Viper, and then the last one in the chain, since they all get charged, they all have stun, the last one can get absolutely massive, is really, really good. The tough part about this deck is it is only too high for 4, and so I like the fact that it is a too high, because it means that my opponent has the chance to block the one that matters. Whichever one you pump with Sea Viper, that's the one that's going to get blocked, obviously. But otherwise, this is 16 damage all by itself. 16 damage all by itself, 4 off of the base, and then the multiples. Just really, really strong. Super, super strong. Not to mention, this has got a good 2 low block. Pretty solid, pretty solid. Up next, we've got a 3 Cherub Cyclone. This is just auto damage. It's a throw, meaning if it's half blocked, it still will deal half, and then it has stun 1, stun 2 off of Viper, and then giving this even just the plus 3 damage off of their own abilities as a good poke. So 4 high for 9. If they block it, you gain 2. The next one gets extra damage, and so basically it doubles up on Vipers once per turn. Up next, we've got triple Lightning Fang. This card's another really good lead-in attack. Because it is a stun attack itself, it feels good on burst time, because that's what it needs to combo is with 2 stun attacks. This is a really good attack to move in second. We'll play the Cherub Lightning, play the Lightning Fang, and then burst time. This card just is really solid at wiping out my opponent's staging as well. Also stun 1, stun 2 off of Viper, and then it says if it's not completely blocked, meaning if they don't use a resource out of their hand, they could be saving for burst time. We freeze one of their committed foundations, which all of their foundations are going to be committed because of how potent deck is at stunning. Up next, we've got 4 rolling attack. This card is just consistency for making sure that my opponent can or can't block or can't find a kill turn later in the turn, or later in the game. Excuse me. You just reveal the top cards of their deck, see if they have options to put on, and then you just put them back. The big thing about this card is and this is me personally talking. I'm not editorializing the deck profile. Is I'm not in love with a burst time, Lightning Fang, and rolling attack all having low blocks. If you can find a decent stun attack under the good symbol with a high block, I think it'd be much better to trade those out. Otherwise, if you think rolling attack, Lightning Fang, burst time are all compatible together, like Jeff did, then by all means. Up next, we've got 4 Nutcracker. This card is not a stun attack, so it does not combo with burst time to snag you a little bit of extra momentum, but this card is just randomly really, really scary with, say, Viper. This already has 2 unbelievable keywords with Breaker and EX. Just adding on stun 2 on top of it is honestly not fair. Not to mention with the burst time, if we snag a ton of momentum with Nutcracker, we just EX it all away. And so being able to play it late in the chain after a Nutcracker multiple, if we've already got momentum and so on and so forth, this thing might just be a stun 2 X low for 8. That just X low for 8 plus whatever Viper can give to it. Really crazy card. Under our actions, we're playing 4 Let's Cut Loose. Foundations are incredibly important, so is blocking. Not to mention the fact that it's just a 2-card combo with Nutcracker to build in whatever foundation from your discard pile you want is just really, really solid. Check a 4 means, or check a 4, possibly check a 5 means you've built in any foundation that you want. Not to mention pulling up and drawing an extra card, not to mention finding a perfect block in a desperate situation. It's just a fantastic card. Up next, we've got 1 Omega Sword and Owl Shield. This is kind of staple under the symbol, making sure that you can block whatever you want to, giving a little bit of extra damage, especially to your throw. It has a 3 high block, or 3 mid block, excuse me, so it just gets an extra 3 damage off of itself. Just all in all, a fantastic card. Up next, we've got 1 United Kingdom of Smash. Jeff loves this card. This is one of Jeff's favorite cards. This card says that you give it your attack 2 speed or 2 damage. Really important on a burst time, making sure that it does not get blocked by a Prepare to Fight. Being able to pull up a Folktale Storyteller to give +2/+2 and then build it right back down is super good. Not to mention lose 2 vitality to draw a card is really good, especially when you get the peek at the top card of your deck as Viper. Up next, foundation-wise, we've got 3 Sin Battlesuit. The main thing about this card is after you play a stun attack, you can flip it and your attack gets +2 speed. Or after you play a stun ability, excuse me, you flip it and +2 or -2 speed equal to the stun rating. And so just flip for +2 speed is really solid in this deck just because, as we said, burst times are kill condition, and our kill condition is actually fairly slow with a 2. And so if we force them to stuff a couple cards in their card pool and then make our 2 high a 4 high, they are not going to block it. Then from there, we just pop all the speed on the card. Or all the damage on the card, excuse me. Up next, we're playing Double Burning with Revenge. Combos with Nutcracker, being able to bring this in, then bring it down for an extra 2 damage. Turns your 8 damage Nutcrackers into 10 damage Nutcrackers, and that's just gives it a little juicier. Not to mention it auto clears itself from the card pool to feel good. Up next, we're playing 4 Folktale Storyteller, or 3 Folktale Storyteller, excuse me. Just another flow card that just after you build it in your staging area, you build it down. It trades a resource from your hand into your staging area. Good enough to be in there. Not to mention it's got a bit of a tech choice of I can put burst times back in my deck and hopefully draw them off of a Viper's ability. Up next, we've got triple Sense of Morals. Once again, combos with Nutcracker. Beautiful anti-stun in the Viper Mirror Match is the most important card in our deck. Making sure that we can make extra checks to find Sense of Morals and the Burning with Revenge inside of our discard pile to add in with Nutcracker to get the extra juicy value. Super good. As well as just thinning our deck in general to hopefully find attacks, just keeping track of what we have and do some extra number crunching. Super good. Up next, we've got double new Empress. Drawing cards is fantastic, especially when we get to cheat and look at the top card of our deck. It's my opponent's turn. There's a bunch of really good cards in my hand that I want to keep. I'm not willing to discard off of Viper's ability. We look and we find another really good defensive or even offensive piece. I'll pay my 3 and draw my card because I know what it is. It's no longer random. And in the same vein, we have this thing. This is technically another copy of Viper because she says discard a card, draw a card, and this says discard a card, draw a card. But if you've got an asset, it's just free draw a card. So a little bit different of a condition in order to pick that card up. In the same vein, we've got double Passing the Torch because of how much information we see off of the top of our deck with Sea Viper. Just being able to commit a foundation, draw a card up is really, really solid. The response is going to be the thing that you use the most on the character. That feels like it has the most impact in the mid game. Whenever you go for your kill condition, obviously the stun, the damage makes sense. But in your day-to-day life, the response is what's going to be there. And so having tools to utilize and interact with that response is solid. Next, we've got Wandering Pirate. After it's committed, ready a different thing. So I can take and commit Passing the Torch, draw a card, commit Wandering Pirate due to an effect or a cost like playing a card, and then ready back up my Passing the Torch. Their next attack, my next attack, I'll Passing the Torch. At the start of their turn, I'll ready Wandering Pirate once, and then ready Passing the Torch on their turn because of its static, and then static then response. And so now I've just gotten like 3 uses out of a singular card off of 1 Wandering Pirate. Actually nutty. On to some defense, we're playing Double Bakery Poster Girl. After my opponent has played 3 enhances in the turn, because enhances all over the place, a playable while committed auto block this thing is fantastic. Double unpredictable movement. It's a little less potent than Bakery Poster Girl, but commit for -2 speed is still good. It is still useful. I know a lot of the speed abilities are flip, and commit seems not that amazing. But underneath a good symbol, I think it is a good substitute because we do have things like Bakery Poster Girl that are so all in to have something a little hilariously non-committal to the game plan. Up next, we've got Double Kyrian Soul. This card just says, flip after I block this thing, it deals no damage. And then their attack also gets -1 speed for each character, so just 1 speed. So -1 speed, if I block it, nothing's happening. I think this card is fairly solid inside of this deck, inside of any deck that needs it, especially with things like Vicious Madness run around. Up next, a little disruption. We're playing Double Overly Dramatic. After my opponent plays an ability that increases speed or decreases damage, I'm just going to flip and cancel it. It's kind of a catch-all when it comes to some abilities. Like this card just turns off the fake character card altogether. This card turns off Punch and Judy altogether because if it could or would decrease the damage, it does it. It cancels it. If it could or would increase the speed, it cancels it. And so that means like a card could say draw 2 +2 speed, and we can be like cancel it, including the draw 2. It cancels every part of the card. Every part of that ability, excuse me, maybe not the whole card. Up next, we got Double Kaikozen. After I block this thing, my opponent's next attack has +2 difficulty. It's really good at stopping my opponent's turn, or maybe even letting them overcommit cards so the Viper's stun ability doesn't have to do nearly as much work and still get the damage pump. Double Most Trusted Assassin. It's kind of like Kaikozen, but Kaikozen flips, and this is just a reusable burn 1 vitality to give -1 to their check to play an attack card that includes as a block, and then once again trying to make them overcommit some stuff. Playing Double Wishing Ward. Momentum is a fantastic resource, and we want my opponent to not have as much as possible. What if they're playing their own burst times and trying to multiple 3 me? Well, this says basically flip, lose one of the multiples, or flip, lose the powerful, flip, lose the ammunition for a really strong ability. And discarding the top 3 cards of your deck is not a very big cost. And then lastly, we've got Double Pursuing a Vendetta. This card is just, my foundations are really rad. Things like Tagore Brothers exist in the format. And so if they were to destroy one of my cool cards, I'm going to flip it and then build in any card that I want from my discard pile. But it does come in committed. So something like a Bakery Poster Girl is probably the best option to have that instant usability. All right, you guys, if you like this deck, make sure you let Jeff know down in the comments down below. That was the Sea Viper deck that we played for this week's Back to Standard Campus Championship. Like I said at the top, this deck was way better than I gave it any credit for. As we were previewing all of the Street Fighter stuff, I was just like, Sea Viper's fine. She's fine. She's going to be right in the middle of the pack. I actually think this character's like really, really solid. And I think she's incredibly new player friendly as well. Just being able to like look at resources and being able to like make solid decisions. Stun's a very good new player card because as soon as they commit their cards, most of the time we don't have to look at them. We just don't have to worry about them. There's just a ton of really good things that Sea Viper has going for her. So if you like this, make sure that you check out all of the other matches and the deck profiles that we have here out on the channel. Make sure that you check us out live on Twitch, twitch.tv/TCGUniversity every Tuesday. We start at 3 now, and with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you very much for watching this show. And lastly, I almost forgot, if you want to support the channel, please, the best way to do it is to go to Patreon, patreon.com/TCGUniversity. Sub out there for the $1 level. Get access to the Discord as well as a bunch of other awesome, cool perks. So, for real this time, thank you very much for watching the video, and stay learned.